if you've got enough outs, I think that the Pidgeot one is just like, I mean, it's so good. Just, I need boss this turn. I have boss this
Well,
turn.
Pidgeot's really interesting because even if you end up sacrificing the quick search, you can at least get rid of the Path to the Peak with its attack to then like activate a Charizard next turn. So it's an interesting one because it's 280. It can survive a hit. The big counter, I think, to Charizard and Pidgeot right now is Miraidon because it plays Path itself. It hits for weakness. It's a real pain in the ass.
Oh, that's just like a really good deck. Yeah, I'm tempted to just play that from now on. And honestly, I was very tempted to just go, Path is so good, and the best deck to use Path is Miraidon. Pretty much, I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not thinking of something else. I know Matt quite like the idea of the Gengar being the Judge Path king, but I don't know if that's actually the case.
I wouldn't.
yeah. I mean, it didn't work out so great for him. I mean, but those kind of decks, sometimes it's just fun to play because, like, the one time it works is all you need in the entire evening. I just got one win. That's good.
The deck took one win out of 18 matches. It's perfect. It's the best deck.
It does. It needs no improvements.
No notes. Oh dear. So, next question for Miraidon. What's your favorite period of Pokemon TCG? Because you mentioned playing like when you were an absolute kid, so you've been through a lot more formats and sets than I have, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of them. I'm obviously going to be biased because it'll be what I enjoyed playing when I was a kid. But the Delta Species format, it was very fun. So there was like two prize Pokemon had sort of like officially sort of set themselves in, and then this sort of just really cool idea because it's just something that, I mean, as a kid who liked the games as well, it's like, this is so cool to see them doing something in the card game that the game can't do, where they've got different types and they've got like this whole almost like had almost its own lore. Like it had like, it's its own region and stuff. And I was just like, I think that was the most effort I've seen them put into it, that to make it like its own thing rather than it just being, trying to make it as much like the game as it could be, and I don't think that it's a bad thing that they've got it to this point. I'm enjoying generally what's going on. I mean, maybe this specific format not so much, but yeah, it's not terrible. Like, I like a lot of the the move to try and like make the stage 2s work again, stuff like that, because that's the thing about the format I remember being fun, that there was a lot of strange stuff, basically, like the different types. Pokemon could be energy, just strange things that I just don't think that they do anymore, and it's like a bit more standard now. It's all right for the sort of competitive scene of it, but I think it's like just not as fun, Yeah. I like the creative side of it. Like, I mean, Holland's cast form was like a Pokemon that you could attach as an energy, and I'm just like, man, they don't do anything fun like that anymore. Weird. I think that Lost Zone was exciting because I hadn't seen them do that. I'd missed that set like when it was out at first, the Heart Gold, I think.
Yeah.
So when I saw that as a mechanic, I was like, this is cool. This is the first time I've seen them introduce a new mechanic into the game, and yeah, I don't know. I would like them to do something a bit more interesting than Terra's. Terra's is close, but not quite there,
Is it because of the hats?
Oh, the hats don't help. The hats certainly do not help.
Have you got a favorite hat?
No. No, I mean, I don't like them, so I think it's hard to find a favorite in something you don't really like very much, because they just kind of look dumb, man. Like, I would have just thought it was much cooler if they just changed color or something. I don't know.
Just change color.
Yeah, well, I like this is what I'm saying. The Delta species, they had these. You could change the color to there was just different hues of them. Basically, they weren't like fully different colors, but like there'd be a green aura around Dragonite because it's a grass Pokemon now, and it's like that's really cool. Like I remember the art being super cool. Like, I mean, I'm a bit of a Gen 3 simp, if that's a thing. Yeah.
Sure, that could be a thing.
Yeah. So all of those Pokemon are my favorite, but like, so there was like a psychic Flygon and like a grass Dragonite, and then this like Salamence, because it was a dragon, they didn't have dragon type, it was normal. So it was really cool that they had a fire type. It was like fire steel. Like that was the other thing. There wasn't just like single types. It was like it'd be steel electric or dark something, and it's like these are really fun things. Like I think the first set I played when I got into it at that time was Rocket. And I kind of wish people were into the old formats. Like, there's just not as much of a legacy scene as there is in other card games for Pokemon. But I'd love to play some Rocket like format stuff, because that was the first time they had like dark energy, and it would do like 10 extra damage. And it's like not the first time, but it was like it was the first time that it had like a really interesting mechanic around it. Like it had its own kind of core engine with all these Rockets cards and Rockets Pokemon, and it like there's a cool Dragonite deck, I guess. It's basically what I'm trying to get across is I really like Dragonite. But yeah. So sorry, I ramble when it comes to talking about old Pokemon.
It's okay. It's cool to learn.
I love it so much, man. It's like like I think. I talked to some of my other friends, and they're like, they've got reasonably nerdy leanings, but like they grew up and they were playing like FIFA and Call of Duty and stuff. So they like they like have a timeline in their head of like what happened based on those games. It's really weird. So like they'll be like, "Oh, do you remember like 2008 or something?" And they're like, "Ah, yes, that was." Call of Duty 4 or whatever, whichever one it was. And then because I was never into that, it was always Pokemon and Pokemon sets. So that's like you sort of define your times like those I loved those Scarlet and Violet years or something. You know what I mean? Those were the real days. No.
Yeah, Sword and Shield, I remember them fondly.
No, I was trying to remember What's the 3DS one? The first time it went 3D, that was a big deal. I remember really enjoying that one. The French one.
X and
Y. That's it.
Colours.
So, yeah, once they stopped just doing colours, I think it was harder to remember what was going on.
That was the game where if you saved after a certain point of the game, like the whole game could get deleted, wasn't it, for a while?
Really?
Oh, wow. Did you not know about that?
No.
So when you went to the main city for the first time, then went down one of the routes, I forget which one it was. Yeah, you could absolutely just like wipe your entire game by saving down one of those routes for a good while. Like you had to avoid saving on that particular route because it would just knock you out. And I always remembered it because it was where you first found Pancham. Because Pangoro was one of my absolute favourite Pokemon from that generation. Still is.
Yeah, is that from that generation? Honestly, I'm so bad with it now. Like once you get past a certain point, I'm like terrible for it.
It was the first time I paid attention to Pokemon PvP because it had Power Up Punch, which like did more damage each time you used it. But then you also had I don't know if this existed beforehand, but you had a held item called Metronome, which also boosted up attack every time you used the same thing. So you'd be swinging for like, I don't know, 5%, 20%, 70% of health each turn. It was like, oh my god. Just then you getting like, you may be knocking out 1 or 2 Pokemon of 6 and then just one-shotting the rest, even with like not very effective. It was so good. I loved it.
I did enjoy. I was not like super into competitive, but I did like a bit of the actual. Like I would go on. I'd never bother to do it myself. I'd always like cheat the Pokemon in and play. But Because like, who's got time for that? Like, I heard there was a controversy about it recently at Worlds because people got caught doing it, and I'm just like, can you blame them? Like, it is so much like time and effort to deal with.
Yeah, it was Gen Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to admit that it's probably like not morally great because other people will go out and other way to do it properly, but like at the same time, you know, if they didn't cheat, you know, I mean, if they didn't like put like I don't know, they just give like what was it? Is it Wonder Guard, the one where you can only hit them if they've got the super effective move, and then you just put that on something that's got no weakness, and it's like you can't hit it anymore.
You can't hurt me.
Yeah. Magic Guard. Ooh.
What would help me the most here? Let's go.
I think you can still knock me out, which I'm pretty sad about.
Yeah, I'm hitting for exact 270.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about
that. To me, I was doing the maths. I was like, "Oh, please say that's exact maths," and it was. Fortunately, like if this deck can get going, it's not too bad. Like it was almost a trap for you to go for the Pidgey out there because like I knew I'd be on like the 90 extra damage I needed for the knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of. I don't know why. It's all this talking, man. I'm not used to it. I'm socializing. No, it's yeah. I really messed that up. I think like if I'd have just put some damage on your Charizard, taken a hit, yeah, I could have totally played this game out so differently. And I kind of forget that this doesn't really do anything a lot of the time, right?
This search is just like you've got to literally deal with the cards you dealt, kind of thing.
I mean, like, can I even do anything right now? No, I mean, I can't not die. So you know, that's probably GG. Yeah, man, this is something that, despite the fact that it's meant to be a bit of a brainless deck, you definitely need to think of it more than not at all. So, yeah. I should probably think about it next time.
I think realistically, your path is like, in fact, if I don't place anything down, you have to 3-hit for Charizard right now of Raikou.
Yeah, that is. I mean, like, well, you just hit into me and win, even anyway. But
your only hope there, I didn't actually have boss, so your only hope there was like putting a single prize up and just hoping like delay the inevitable than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done that if I thought that there was any way to win after that, but then just realised it's like, yeah, I just played the prizes wrong. Charizard's really like, I think I understand it to a degree, but like,
he's just a big idiot.
On the deck. Yeah, but it depends on the deck I'm playing with. You know, like I think when I was playing a lot of the Chen Palkia, it was kind of easy to remember. Okay, I have to put them on this amount of prizes. And,
yeah.
I mean, the other thing is that the Palkia had 280 HP, and that's nice because it just you can give them you take the 3 prizes and still make it awkward. But
yeah, the way you have to do like quite a bit of mass with Charizard because it is 10 short of knocking things out all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like that's part of the reason why I like having the not Defiance Band, the other one in. Adds 10 damage because literally that's all you need in a lot of circumstances. It's quite annoying.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because I did notice the band in there and I was wondering what it was for. But I guess that if it is only 10, and you're right because it's like 210 and then 270. Yeah, it is literally just 10 each time.
It's 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330 is the most you're ever going to do.
Yeah, well, it's the most you need to do.